It all began not with coins or banks, but with this. Simple cowrie shells became the first universal measure of value across ancient civilizations. Their worth wasn't in the shells themselves, but in the trust and agreement between people. These small, glossy treasures from the sea were durable, portable, and nearly impossible to counterfeit. They traveled from the Maldives across vast trade routes, becoming a currency that connected cultures from China to Africa. This was humanity's first great experiment with a shared concept of value, an idea that would shape the future of our world. But as human societies grew more complex, from scattered villages to great empires, the limitations of shells became apparent. A new form of money was needed, something with intrinsic value that everyone could recognize. The answer was found in the earth: precious metals. Gold and silver. They were rare, they did not corrode, and their luminous beauty was universally desired. Initially, these metals were used in raw forms: crude rings, twisted wire, or lumpy ingots. Every transaction required a careful ritual of weighing and assessing purity, a slow and cumbersome process that relied on the honesty of the merchant and the accuracy of the scales. Then, in the 7th century before the Common Era, a revolution occurred in the Kingdom of Lydia, in what is now Turkey. The Lydians did something extraordinary: they stamped pieces of electrum, a natural alloy of gold and silver, with an official mark. This was the birth of the coin. That stamp was not mere decoration, it was a promise. A royal guarantee of consistent weight and purity. For the first time in history, money spoke with the authoritative voice of the state. Trade was transformed. No longer did merchants need to weigh every piece of metal, they could simply count coins bearing the same stamp, dramatically accelerating the pace of commerce. This revolutionary idea spread like wildfire. The mighty empires of Greece and Rome saw the power in this new technology and perfected it. They turned coins into portable canvases for art and propaganda. The stern face of an emperor, the symbol of an owl for the goddess Athena, these images circulated through markets, reinforcing political power and cultural identity across continents. A Roman denarius was not just a piece of silver, it was a miniature ambassador, carrying the message of Rome's authority to the farthest corners of the known world. While the West was building empires with metal coins, another financial revolution was brewing in the East. In China, during the Song dynasty, a shortage of copper for coins and the unwieldiness of large transactions led to an incredible innovation: paper money. This was a monumental leap of faith. The value of this paper was not in the material itself, which was practically worthless, but entirely in the trust placed in the imperial government that issued it. It was a pure abstraction, a promise that could be carried in a pocket. However, this system also revealed a new danger: when governments yielded to the temptation of printing too much money to finance their wars and projects, the result was devastating inflation, eroding the very trust the money was built upon. In medieval Europe, as trade revived, merchants faced a dangerous problem: transporting heavy chests of silver and gold along bandit-infested roads. The solution was not a new currency, but a new concept: the bill of exchange. This was a sophisticated letter of credit. A merchant in Genoa could deposit gold with a banker and receive a bill. Traveling to the fairs of Champagne, he could then present this bill to the banker's associate and receive the equivalent value in local currency. This ingenious system created the foundation of modern banking, allowing wealth to move across vast distances without the physical money ever leaving the safety of a vault. It was trust, formalized on parchment. The age of exploration flooded Europe with New World silver and gold, fueling a commercial explosion. This led to the rise of formal banking houses and, eventually, central banks like the Bank of England. These institutions began issuing their own banknotes, which were initially simply receipts for gold deposits. But people soon found it more convenient to trade the notes themselves rather than redeem them for bullion. Thus, paper money made its triumphant return to the West, now backed by the full faith and credit of powerful financial institutions and, ultimately, the state. The gold standard emerged, tethering paper value to a tangible asset and creating a period of remarkable monetary stability across the globe. The 19th and 20th centuries witnessed an acceleration of financial innovation driven by industrialization and technology. The personal check became the standard for business and affluent individuals, allowing payments to be made with a simple signature. Then, in the mid-20th century, a new object entered the wallet, the plastic credit card. First introduced by Diners Club and then perfected by Visa and MasterCard, the card was a key to a line of credit. It untethered purchasing power from the immediate presence of cash, fueling a consumer revolution and further abstracting the act of payment. The digital age then began to dissolve money entirely into streams of data. The rise of the internet in the late 20th century gave birth to online banking and new intermediaries like PayPal. Money became invisible, a series of ones and zeros zipping across fiber optic cables at the speed of light. Geographical borders became meaningless for financial transactions. You could now buy a book from an online store on another continent as easily as buying a loaf of bread from a local bakery. The 21st century has only intensified this dematerialization. The smartphone has become our universal wallet. With a tap using near-field communication technology or a scan of a QR code at a market stall, a payment is completed in an instant. The physical act of payment has nearly vanished, replaced by a seamless, effortless gesture. We have arrived at the peak of convenience, where currency is an abstract concept managed through a glass screen. And now, we stand at the precipice of what may be the most radical transformation since the Lydia N coin, the era of cryptocurrency. In 2009, an anonymous entity known as Satoshi Nakamoto introduced Bitcoin, a purely digital, decentralized currency built on a technology called blockchain. Unlike every monetary system that came before it, Bitcoin operates without a central authority. There is no government, no bank, no company in control. Its value and security are derived from a complex mathematical algorithm and a distributed network of computers around the world. It is a system built not on trust in institutions, but on trust in code and cryptographic proof. It challenges the very foundations of our financial architecture, proposing a future where money is global, transparent, and owned directly by the people. From the simple cowrie shell to the complex blockchain, the journey of money is a mirror of our own journey as a civilization. It is a story of our endless quest for greater efficiency, security, and reach in our interactions. The forms have changed, from natural objects to stamped metal, from printed paper to digital data, but the core principle has remained constant. Money is, and always has been, a technology of trust. It is a shared belief system that allows us to cooperate, build, and imagine a future together. As we look ahead to central bank digital currencies and assets we cannot yet conceive, one thing is certain: the evolution of payment is the evolution of human trust itself, and that story is far from over.